Take control of your journey towards chess mastery. Magnus Carlsen introduces Chessable, the definitive solution for studying chess. Move Trainer uses the science of spaced repetition to identify your strengths and eliminate your weaknesses. There's no need to set up a board, remember which page you're on, or keep track of all the moves you miss. Get started now and join our growing community of over 100,000 chess enthusiasts. Chessable. Take control of your journey towards chess mastery.
Everybody, my name is Jan Nepomniachtchi, former world chess champion.
Are starting a new course here for Chessable.
A very special Chessable course.
Master your chess with Judith Bolger.
You know what? I learned a lot.
I am a top grandmaster from the Netherlands. The alliance and the recommendations that I give are well suited for players of all levels. So I really explain a lot of concepts, but also a lot of basic things. Now it's your move, don't waste any time, hit that buy button.
It doesn't look like much, but neither would a Sicilian defense to the untrained eye. This is a performance enhancer. You don't see it? How about now? Manage your air quality, sharpen your performance, change the game with air things.
Hello and welcome to the final day of the Chessable Masters Champions Chess Tour event. Only the final match for us to watch, potentially two. Nothing is really ever entirely simple in this format. But to begin with, we will have one match, and to cover it, I'm here with my friend Peter Leko. So what do you think about the final? Very excited to watch, but what are your initial thoughts?
Yeah, hello Peter, hello everyone. Yes, it's a very interesting day. Yeah, the grand finale between Nodirbek, Abdusatov and Maxim Vachier-Lagrave. We have witnessed yesterday a stunning match between these two players where Nodirbek won with a score of 3-0. One could look at the score and think like it was a crushing victory, but I would get a little bit deeper into the things. I simply felt like Maxim was not yet really aware of how to approach the games correctly against Nodirbek. He was making some speculative sacrifices, which heavily backfired against the Nodirbek. So in this regard, I'm very curious to see, will Maxim adjust his playing style to be much more solid, or how he will approach? What is your take on this?
I think I sort of both agree and slightly disagree with what you're saying, because if you look at the games, the two games he lost, not the two, the game he lost with White we actually have some time, so we can actually show this. The game he lost with White in the Sicilian, you can't really call, if we take this position, maybe even this position, but specifically, basically where it went off the rails for MVL. I think it's slightly unfair to call rook takes h6 and queen h5 a speculative sacrifice. It's just a miscalculation. It's not like, White is sacrificing something for, initiative. He thought he is winning here. He simply, he either missed rook f6 altogether, or he missed the fact that after rook f1, queen e3, there is no follow-up. And even after, let's say, bishop takes f6, queen takes d3, both of your checking squares are still covered by the black pieces. It's more what happened in game 3, I think, that is a good description of what you said, where in a must-win game, already trailing 2-0, he did go for something quite wild, like in a position like this. He just left the bishop on f4 to die, basically, by playing b5 and c4. And this one was a bit speculative, and it was very nicely refuted by Nodirbek. But your larger point, I think, is entirely correct. And I think what this match demonstrates is that you just can't bluff this generation. They will accept your sacrifices. They will happily compete with you in calculation, and they're probably not behind in terms of who calculates faster, who calculates cleaner. They are probably, and MVL is a beast. MVL is one of the very, very best of their generation, and he is clearly not coming out on top in these types of contests against Nodirbek. So maybe the games that we saw yesterday don't demonstrate it as clearly, but I think that the larger point, I think you're absolutely right. And as for what MVL is supposed to do about it, I'm not so sure, because it is who he is. He is a marvelous attacking player. His entire career was built on being an unbelievably clean calculator and a very, very good attacking player. That's not to say that he is a poor endgame player, but I think this is what he likes.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. I simply feel like opening wise, he was not yet also feeling where to maybe target Nodirbek, what are his weak spots. But on the other hand, also Nodirbek is a type of player who plays all kinds of openings. Yeah, so it's very difficult to at all prepare or to expect anything from Nodirbek, because you have to expect everything.
Yeah, it maybe wasn't as much on display yesterday, because yesterday Nodirbek just played he played d4 in game 1. Just to go through the games a little bit, game 1 was this very solid Grunfeld by Nodirbek, where MVL showed an interesting pawn sacrifice by move 9. He played this move b7, b5 here, giving up a healthy pawn for activity. And he had a good position. I believe the engine, basically, somewhere here, the engine is saying black is fine. But he made one somewhat strange miscalculation. He played queen a7, which is already maybe not the best move. And then he made this very strange move, bishop e6, d7. And there was just no coming back after. He made one big mistake in the game, and the game was lost. And this is also coming back to what you were saying. People like Nodirbek don't really forgive mistakes. You normally, like if you make a big mistake in a game against somebody like Nodirbek or any of this new generation of players, Gukesh would be a good example as well. Like they probably will not let you back into the game. So that was game 1, and game 2 was this Sicilian, which MVL was actually doing quite well in until that very ill-fated rook sacrifice on h6.
Yeah, but my point is that when you consider the first game, that if you would have asked me which line Nodiebek would choose against the Grunfeld, putting Nodiebek style and the G3 Grunfeld on the table, I would have not guessed it at all.
I think so. Yeah, that would not be my first instinct either.
Yeah, so I felt like, okay, Maxim by no way could have anticipated the G3 Grunfeld. Then in the second game, that was a Sveshnikov. I don't really recall Abdusatulov really playing a lot of Sveshnikovs. That also I feel like might have come as a surprise. And okay, the third game was already a must-win game for Maxim, and he went all in later on. It's hard to judge already.
Yeah, game 3, I think we can discount, at least the opening of game 3, we can definitely discount, because when you find yourself trailing 2-0 in a 4-game match, your decisions become very, very difficult. It's not really like you're hoping your opponent becomes nervous. Basically, you're hoping your opponent starts making less than entirely objective decisions. But yeah, it's very difficult to win 2 on demand. And I say that, of course,
they did not start yet, or what is happening? Do we have?
No. Yeah, we have just the first move here. Yes. They just started the game,
and it's a Grunfeld. All right.
Yeah, and interesting to see, because another thing that we've been discussing quite a bit during this coverage is the fact that the organizers seem to be very happy with just not giving the players any time between games at all. But this is a new day, so obviously MVL would have considered what to do if Nodiebek actually sticks with this. And despite the fact that, as we said, at least at some point in that game 1, he was doing okay after this sacrifice with b5. But I think the engine doesn't really agree with it. I think the engine is not in love with it. It's sort of playable, but you probably shouldn't. And he doesn't, and goes knight bd7. What do you think is the plan with knight bd7? If he already played c takes d5, but if, let's say, I play knight c3, what's the idea?
Well, then probably d takes c4, queen c4, and then some knight b6, and the queen has some...
Well, I have the c5 square, though, right?
You have the c5 square.
I have the c5 square, and then maybe I go g5, h4, or...
But okay, somewhere. Now I can switch to your bishop f5.
Yeah, it's an interesting. It's a version of the usual positions which you can get by taking on c4 move 7, where the pawn is already on a4. But knight d7, knight b6 is not always such a great way to develop your pieces. It works sometimes, but not every single time. But instead, this is what we have on the board. Nodiebek very quickly goes c takes d5, which is actually a very logical reply to knight d7 in general, because if black, I don't know, plays some stupid move like rook e8, here you don't really want to take, because the knight, of course, will then get developed to c6. But once black commits to developing the knight to d7, you are much, much happier playing c takes d5, because if black goes for symmetry, then it clearly has not been developed to the best square. The best square is very, very obviously on c6 here. So that pretty much locks MVL into playing knight takes d5, and then the queen goes all the way back to safety. And now we want to get this very normal big center. We want to play e4, shoo away the knight from d5. This knight probably goes to c3, ideally goes to c3. And these types of positions are potentially very tricky for black.
Yeah, the reason queen a5 played. I actually feel that the reason why Nodiebek then in the very first game yesterday opted for queen b4 and queen e1 back after grabbing the pawn was maybe connected that he already had this queen e1 idea in his mind.
It's possible,
anyway.
Yeah. That's how that game went. Yeah, the queen also went to e1 here, hiding away from potential tempi. I like queen a5. I feel like you absolutely have to do something concrete here. There's no way you can just make some kind of a semi-waiting move like, I don't know, queen b6, not attacking anything, and maybe you get to play knight b4 and create a threat of knight c2, but if white goes, I don't know, knight a3, bishop e3, and then starts pushing, your position very often just becomes very, very difficult to play. So I like queen a5 as a way to at least challenge the white setup, ask white a question. And Nodiebek actually says, I have to accept this queen trade, and takes with the knight. covering the c2 square, I think, is the point here.
Yeah, another big question. Where do we retreat this knight? I mean, even knight c7 comes to mind, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Trying to target, but knight c7 will be met by knight c3 probably.
Probably, yeah, extremely likely.
But okay, I mean, then you have all these c5s, a3s, yeah, the long diagonal can be opened up, the knight on c3 is loose a bit.
Yeah. Doesn't seem like white is completely in control yet.
Yes.
You still need, like, if you already have the move knight c2 on the board, it starts looking a lot more controllable. Other options, I mean, knight b4 doesn't look right because then it has to go to a6, and I don't know what it does on a6. I would not want to put it on a6. Well, yeah, knight c7 did look like the most logical choice.
Yeah,
if not knight c3, what else can we play?
Yeah, well, the knight c3 looks, that's why it's so tempting, because we might be considering knight b5 as a next move for black as well.
Is there any point in actually starting with knight c2?
Well, a little bit too much prophylaxis.
Yeah, he goes knight c3. I expected that. And
now we are thinking about all these c5, a3s in some sequence of moves. I mean, you are the absolute real Grunfeld player right now. So what is your take? How would you approach this?
I would feel that the next, I don't know, 3 to 5 moves will decide if black equalizes or not. Because structurally, I don't like this. I feel that, in particular, because of this bishop on c8, which does not have very many good squares. Like, you can develop it to e6, and this is what MVL actually chooses. He goes knight b6 here, indicating that he doesn't really want any kind of a forced attempt to equalize with all of those breaks. He just wants to develop the bishop, I guess, to e6, maybe rook fd8 next, and just play. But it feels to me that if we're not challenging the white center immediately, white probably gets to set up a very nice stable center. One thing knight b6 does, though,
yes,
looking at the position, yeah, it stops us from being able to comfortably play bishop b3 because knight c4 is very annoying. Maybe this is okay. Yeah, maybe you don't actually have to you don't have to force the issue so much.
Yeah, now also we can appreciate this a4 pawn a lot, yeah, that it stops any kind of b3 ideas from white, just slowly squeezing out black's counterplay. This pawn is not only there to break the structure with a3, but just also stops b3. Rook d8 to follow. White would love to play some h3, bishop f1, bishop e3, all these kind of moves, but he does not have 3 moves here. Knight c3, knight c2 on the board.
Yeah, knight c2 is logical. I mean, you would love to put this knight on c5, right? But getting that to work is extremely difficult because it involves you playing knight d3, and your pawn on d4 is really not protected enough right now to get that to work. And MVL throws in bishop g4. I'm honestly not sure it gives you too much to provoke f3.
Yeah, I had the same feeling. I even wanted to ask you that. Do we want to provoke or not? It's a double... I mean, it's quite a big question.
Yeah, it does. It goes back to d7.
Wow.
Interesting. I was just automatically putting it on e6, but he goes back, all the way back to d7, but I wonder why. Is he planning to... e5, d5, I pretty much never like in the structures. I like bishop f1, though.
Bishop f1. Exactly.
Yeah, this makes a lot of sense. Just covering the c4 square, intending to play bishop b3. And this is actually an additional reason to play bishop b6, because in this position, I think we're probably playing bishop c4.
Yeah, very thematic.
Yeah, getting rid of these bishops, just getting them off the board is generally a very useful thing for black in these types of structures. So I'm a bit surprised by this. Bishop d7, bishop f1, rook fd8 is played. So what's the reply after bishop b3? Now even d4, d5 is... he even started bishop f4. Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, he wants to provoke that knight, yeah, to e6, because then we retreat it to e3, and then d5 is a big threat.
Yeah. For instance,
now, for the first time, I feel like maybe white has achieved something.
Yeah, and this is exactly why these types of structures where black replies to the g3 Grunfeld by taking on c4 and allowing white, the hope of getting a pawn center like this, they do need to be played very, very carefully because you have definite space problems. Your pieces don't have enough freedom if you don't achieve something sort of straight out of the opening. And as you're saying, d5 with bishop takes b6 coming is a massive problem. And yeah, MVL actually goes knight e8.
But I don't like it anyway.
Yeah, it's not great. Yeah, maybe now you can play knight d6 with bishop b3 and d5 knight c4 works out really well. d5 is a very poor move though. I can go, let's say, knight a3 now, stop it completely, go rook ac1, d4 d5 keeps on sort of hanging in the air. And the bigger question is like, where is your counterplay here as black? I will go rook ac1, I will maybe go king f2, I will go h4. Just gain space as much as I can, and then I will start looking for improvements.
Yeah, a couple of moves ago we complained about White's position that if he would get 3 extra moves, it would be quite nice, and he got those moves. And
pretty much.
I mean, the big question is maybe he's even hoping to get something more, but just nicely stabilizing, as you mentioned, this bishop e3 and then knight d6 met by knight a3. Okay, he starts with rook c1.
Yeah, also very sensible. It's probably a move we pretty much always want to make, so why not start with it? Bishop e6.
Finally.
Yeah, I'm a bit confused by all of this. If we wanted to play bishop e6, why haven't we played it earlier?
The reason why I actually liked bishop e3 and this knight a3 that you showed before instead of rook ac1, that it stopped bishop e6.
Yeah, that was I think an important reason to start with this, because yeah, it just completely prevents bishop e6 from ever happening pretty much. And now you have to think, because knight a3 is just impossible because the pawn on d4 drops. It's just not a move. And if you play bishop e3 now, I'm assuming both knight c4 and bishop c4 are playable.
Yeah.
Bishop c4 maybe not so much, actually, because d5, bishop f1, bishop takes b6 might be very strong.
Yeah, but okay, I mean, of course, you can go for knight c4.
You can go knight c4, bishop c4, and this has to count as an improvement. I think one of the things you generally say about these types of positions is that every single trade of a light piece improves black's situation, at least a little bit. Apart from maybe trading this for this.
Yeah, of course, I mean, you need to keep an eye on the d4 pawn.
But it's very, very difficult for white to organize that particular trade, because, I mean, you can try playing bishop e5, but it's not a good move. And apart from bishop e5, you almost can't even imagine a scenario where the dark squared bishops come off.
Yeah, he just opted for king f2.
Do we go something c4, or do we go knight d6?
Yeah, now we already have at least a choice. I mean, humanly speaking, we very much like this bishop c4 idea, I believe.
Yeah, I'm wondering about bishop h3.
Like this.
Trying to kind of keep it on c4 and maybe play bishop e3, knight a3, smoke it out. Because it doesn't really have squares, but it's also very artificial, and the bishop isn't really doing very much on h3 at all, so I'm not sure I like it. I'm just considering whether it's an option.
Yeah, I would like to play knight d6, but then you have knight a6. So I'm even thinking about the prophylactic bishop a6 because I'm keeping an eye on the d4 pawn, and then try to get knight d6, knight dc4, but it's maybe too much.
Yeah, and MVL ends up choosing this. Important to note that it looks like maybe d4, d5 wins some material, but knight takes b2 is very strong, attacking c3, so it doesn't work. And Noribek very quickly just takes on c4. Yeah, I think I still prefer white a little bit, but this is obviously a better version. You have to come back to that decision to play rook ac1 here, allowing bishop b6. I think starting with bishop b3 was cleaner. And goes g4. Sort of along the lines of what we're discussing, just gaining space on the king side, preparing for future endgames. He doesn't have anything particularly proactive to play right this moment, so he's just improving what he can improve.
Yeah, and the big question is how to proceed with black.
Mm-hmm.
Do we try to play active, or we should just stay put?
But how? I would like some active counterplay, but what exactly constitutes active counterplay?
Exactly.
I don't think you can make c5 work. I just don't think we have enough tactical justification for that particular pawn break. e5 is pretty much impossible. And b5 achieves, well, I mean, it kind of ruins the opposition a little bit.
Yeah.
Without
so what
really...
about knight d6? Just bringing the knight into play.
Do we ever want to play f5, or we're just playing knight d6 to play knight d6?
I was thinking to play maybe knight b5 next.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, I would love to play knight c7, knight e6, but the bishop on f4 disturbs me.
Yeah, knight d6 is on the board, and for some reason, it seems like it's not engine approved, but I'm struggling to figure out why. Maybe knight a3 is now a move. And for some reason, this is strong. Or knight e3. Knight e3 was played by Nuremberg. Yeah, and yeah, maybe this is just very concrete. Yeah, maybe after bishop e6, I can play d5.
Maybe you can.
And it suddenly becomes a bit awkward because if you take and I take with this knight, e7 is hanging, knight c7 is a threat. And generally, white does not want to open the g7 bishop so much, but when it results in the black position getting under this amount of pressure, you can definitely convince yourself. I'm wondering if we can go bishop d7, but then maybe even e5.
Then e5 maybe also.
Maybe even e5, and pieces continue being pushed back, and knight c4, knight b6 maybe.
Yeah.
Starts
so now
looking
we
very
understand.
scary.
Now we see the drawback of knight d6, that it released the pressure on the d4 pawn, and the knight from c2 could move to e3. Maybe he should have just waited with a move like king f8, doing nothing, yeah, just getting closer to the e7 pawn just in case. Very nicely spotted by Nodierberg, this knight option. And on the board, d5.
Yeah, he obviously needed some time to convince himself that that it works, but whoa!
Oh,
Instantly replied with a3. Okay, first of all, let's figure out if this works. Seems like it does, right? Because after rook c2,
yeah,
we have bishop c3, and then knight takes e4, check, and then rook takes d1, and this pawn will cost white a great deal.
Yeah, but of course, luckily we don't have to fall for this trick.
Yeah. So what happens if we just go b3?
That's the big question. Because black's problems still remain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and c takes d5, you take knight ed5, yeah, or knight c5.
I think both are okay, but I like stopping knight b5 for as long as possible. Because I think if I take with this knight, this sacrifice might be playable. I don't think it's great, but I think it might become playable because the way for black to come back into the game is to somehow organize counterplay against the pawn on a2.
Yeah.
So b3, and he goes bishop d7 quite quickly. Yeah, now e5 followed by, well, depending, I think the knight has to go to e8, because if you go to c8, I think you're completely lost, because this pin will also force you to take with the pawn, and then your position is completely broken. Yeah, the knight goes to e8. And now knight c4 just looks very, very strong, because knight b6 is a massive threat.
And look at this knight. The knight came from f3, e1, c2, e3 to c4. What a lovely journey.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the board, and now Maxim is under heavy pressure. I even don't know if there is any way to save this.
Well, the engine, like I don't see the evaluation, but the bar seems to suggest it's just lost. Like the way to stop knight b6 would be to maybe play rook a6, but then I have a feeling like e6 might be winning by force. Because this loses you the piece. And if you play bishop c8, I can go d takes c6, rook is hanging, you have to take on d1, and then how do you stop rook d8 from happening? And everything starts falling, despite even the fact that the knight on c3 is hanging. I think I'm actually probably winning this. Rook takes c6, rook takes e8. Rook e8 is a mistake, yeah, because bishop h6 was a bit stronger.
Yeah, it's a bit stronger.
Bishop h6 was a little bit stronger, with basically mate on the board. And there's probably some cleaner ways to win as well. I don't think this is required necessarily. Okay. I wouldn't be surprised if the very, very simple d takes c6, rook c6, and I don't know, knight a5 or something is just winning by force. Because how do you even protect the b7 pawn?
Yeah, it's a total catastrophe. I mean, it looked like a natural position, and then just in a couple of moves, MVL got completely outplayed.
Yeah, and so far, returning to another topic that we've been discussing in particular yesterday, this is, I think, sort of according to what we are observing, tournament after tournament, winning the first match does statistically appear to be a good indication of you doing well in the second one. If you win in the upper bracket and then your opponent goes down to the lower bracket and wins the lower bracket and gets to play you again in the grand final, so far I think that grand final still seems to be won by the player who is undefeated in the tournament.
Yeah, there could be an argument like those players have less pressure, yeah, because they also know that actually if something goes badly, then they still have a second match, and also they might just stick to their normal play instead of overthinking things, yeah, that you lost the match and you think like you have to change everything, and maybe exactly by changing everything you are running into your opponent's hands.
Yeah, and I think MVL has done absolutely the right thing here, and I'm even wondering if maybe this was stronger than knight b6. I think maybe, I mean, Nordic is still doing extremely well, but maybe he actually sold his position a little bit short, because knight takes d5, preserving the threat of knight b6, seems extremely strong. Maybe after bishop e6 you're still sort of surviving, but it's very, very unpleasant. And what they got in the game, which is this position, it's still, of course, not great for black at all. You're an exchange down. The bishop on g7 is cut off from active play, and white eventually will probably have a very nice blockading piece on d4. But maybe you could have had even more.
Yeah, it really looked what you showed with knight takes d5, that could have been even better. But maybe after bishop e6, then Nodivek was not exactly sure how to continue, and then he thought like, okay, let me first take the exchange and then I take it from there.
Bishop f8. Interesting. One thing I was wondering about was, why are we, yeah, exactly. Why are we not stopping knight c7? But I guess knight c7 just doesn't do very much. So Nordberg did not feel like he needed to play knight e2 immediately.
Yeah, he was waiting for that bishop to move from g7 so that the pressure on the e5 pawn is released. So the bishop from f4 can also retreat to e3 quietly. At some point, knight d4. Yeah, knight all looks very good.
Yeah, I mean, obviously white is massively, massively better. But the issue is black probably will never have any counterplay. I think any attempt here for MVL to actually create some active counterplay will lose him the game very, very quickly. Like if you go for some kind of an ill-advised f6 break, that probably just destroys your position. But if you do absolutely nothing with black, if you go king g7, I don't know, bishop b7, bishop d8, how do you, what's the plan to open this up?
Well, Nodirbek went for h5. I was actually heavily thinking about g5 just to lock everything down on the king side.
Yeah, that's actually a very good thought exercise. Yeah, g5, h5. And now tell me how you're winning this position.
Well, my idea was actually to put bishop on e3, remove that, I mean, double on the c5 with the rook, rook c2, rook d c1. And then, because the knight anyway can't move from e8, and once I did this, then I go knight e2 and then bishop c5, and then I'm coming back.
Yeah, that looks pretty good. Yeah, that looks pretty good. But instead, Nodirbek says, you really don't have any counterplay at all, so I will just open the king side and win like that.
Yeah, this is the young generation. They are very direct, very concrete.
Mm-hmm.
I always like this slow, systematic approach. Yeah, that's my style.
Yeah, this doesn't look bad at all, because black's position, while seemingly very, very solid, is also completely cramped, and you just don't have any targets. And the knight on e8 is just doing this one job of controlling c7, which is an important job, because if the white rook actually gets to c7, you immediately lose, but it's not really doing anything else at all. And now we just need to make sure that we prepare g5 properly and get to play g5, and it's all...
Especially because black also indicates that he wants to go bishop b6.
Mm-hmm. But
Which, on the other hand, will cover the c7 entry square, so then maybe some king h7, knight g7 could be tried.
Yeah. Yeah, Nodirbek doesn't believe in any of that. He just goes rook g1. He says, if you want to play bishop b6, I'll just play bishop b3. It does absolutely nothing.
Yeah, and he's right, of course.
Yep. Does seem like that.
I mean, he doesn't see any ghosts, yeah, because there are no ghosts here. So Maxim, in fact, does not even move the bishop yet from d8, keeps it.
Well, he hasn't made a move yet, and we haven't spoken about the clock, but Nodirbek also keeping very, very nice control over the clock. King h7 chosen. I guess his sorry. His point is, if white goes g5, he wants to go bishop b6, bishop b3, and maybe h takes, rook takes, and some sort of knight g7, and hope to maybe get it to f5. But this shouldn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah, whoa, okay, so he's gone takes, takes, and f6. And there has to be a way to win this. I mean, I like bishop f4, but maybe there's something even cleverer.
Yeah, because bishop f4, then at least bishop b6 might
yeah, bishop b6, yeah, bishop b6. Yeah, that's a good reason not to play that move. Because it gets a bit messy. Yeah. Ef knight f6 on the board.
But okay, if black does not lose on the spot, then he might have some hopes.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have to make up your mind, yeah? That how do you...
Yeah, I don't think h5 really is hanging. So even a move like king, I don't know. But e6, e5 is a bit annoying, right? We're probably missing something very simple, judging by...
But hang on, yeah, because after king e2, e5, you can take on f6.
Oh, we can take, yeah, we
take,
we go rook c7, yeah. This ends the game on the spot, yeah.
Yeah, rook d8, knight e6, just to highlight this. And that's it. And if not for e5, then of course, yeah. Unfortunately for Maxim, there are no good alternatives. Already bishop takes f6 is a deadly threat, probably.
Yeah. e5 makes it even stronger because you can't even take on d4 with the bishop, which is preferable to e takes d4. But yeah, bishop f6 seems to be a winning threat. Knight h5 loses to a number of things. I mean, I can take, play rook h1, I guess. Although that is maybe not as clear, yeah? King h6, and there's no way to attack it. I guess we just go rook c7 again.
Yeah, so king
Maybe.
h6 would have to be played.
I mean, this is winning. The question is maybe there's something cleaner, but this is winning. With the black pieces as discoordinated as they are. MVL chooses bishop e8. Yeah, this has to just be like knight e6, bishop h5, and just find a good square somehow.
But do you have an easy good square?
No, that's my problem as well. Yeah, I was
Yes.
I thought I will find it, but surprisingly, maybe f1.
Yeah, maybe king f1, yes. But it's a bit ugly. You might want to do it cleaner. But again, this is again the young generation. They don't necessarily look for cleaners. They are just happy with murky stuff if they see that it works.
Yeah. So what would be the other option for white here?
Well, but the big question, do we need another one? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Honestly, I would like to play knight takes e6 because
Yes.
everything else feels like maybe we are actually giving black some hope.
Yeah.
And then the thing that we were discussing with Peter is you cannot really cross this diagonal because it allows bishop b6 check. And if you go forward, you give black all kinds of, like king e1 unfortunately runs into bishop a5 check, and then like rook e8 becomes a move and everything. And if you go forward, you get checked from g6, and once again, you don't really have a very comfortable square because checks from either a5 or b6 are coming. But f1 very specifically just stops every single check.
Yeah. And unfortunately, we are unable to hang on to our dark square bishop. Bishop e7 is met by rook c7.
Yeah, I guess we play bishop b6.
But then bishop f6, you can
And then, like,
take.
if only we could somehow, you know, teleport our rook to... Whoa, king d3, interesting.
Wow.
What does he see after bishop g6?
Yeah, intuitively, I also did not want to touch this direction.
It just goes
Wow.
back, okay. Interesting, yeah. I mean, he's ahead on the clock, so repeating doesn't really do very much for him. And yeah, finally, king f1, bishop b6 on the board, as expected. There's also rook h1, which might be winning more material. Like, it's another one of those solutions which you don't even really want to calculate, but objectively, it might be winning more material.
Yeah, it
Because-
could easily be.
Yeah,
Because
because-
finally rook h6 checks
Yeah.
the bishop.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not like bishop takes f6 isn't winning. I'm pretty sure it is. But if you can be a full rook up here, maybe you choose to be a rook up here. You know, nothing particularly wrong with that.
And after rook h, but even if I go rook e8, you can play knight f4.
Yeah. Just stops absolutely everything. And then I start picking up material.
And
I
it's
think
on
maybe
the board.
Yeah, he played rook h1. I think maybe king g6, bishop f6, bishop f3 is something. But it should still lose somehow. Rook h8 probably is the simplest.
Yes. That's
Just-
beautiful.
Yeah, and then you can play a position 2 exchanges down. Which is the
Which
best
is
you
not
have.
so bad.
probably.
I mean, knowing what we are otherwise getting, it's the best what we can hope for.
Mhm.
On
Yeah,
the
king
board,
6
king
on the
G6.
board. Bishop f6, I'm pretty sure MVL goes, yeah, bishop f3 played. And now, yeah, it's clear. Yeah, he just goes rook h8. So we will see this entire line. And I think we'll just watch the conclusion of this game. There's really not very much to say about this position. It's completely winning for white. You have to show a little bit of care, but 2 rooks versus 2 bishops is not that difficult.
But also there is a question, can we play rook h6 or it's too much?
Yeah, I was wondering about that. Yeah, rook h6, king e5, and bishop g5, king knight g5 or
Knight
something.
g5, yeah.
Yeah, but he chooses not to. Goes for this. I mean, it is completely winning. It's g4. Just, you know, make sure you stop this pawn from getting to good squares. And he does immediately by including this rook. After bishop b4, I think the simplest is just to go king e2, and we are very happily going to take on d3 if black goes d3 check.
Yeah, that's it. I mean,
Yeah, and once
hopeless.
the rook become active, it's very, very. King has a very safe square on d2, so we just play a4 bishop h5 check, king d2, and there's really not very much to discuss. Well, even greedier. Yeah, king e4 is the only source of counterplay, and now king d2. Yeah, very clever to have rook e1 check to stop d3 bishop e3 check from happening. Yeah, now we can go a4 or rook d8, or drive the king to the g file is also a decent idea. Yeah.
I mean, why isn't it checkmate? Yeah, that's it.
Maxim resigns. MVL has seen enough. Yeah.
Wow, and they start instantly. I mean,
there might be a break after game 2, but 1 and 2 have generally started immediately. Yeah. And Noribek goes to play the Petrov instead of the Sveshnikov, which he did yesterday, which is a very sensible choice, and also confirms what you were saying earlier about just how wide his repertoire is and how difficult it is to prepare.
Yeah, it's basically impossible. Yeah, also against d4, also against any kind of first move. Nodiabek has at least like 5-6 options.
Yep. And, in the olden times, the general consensus was if somebody plays this amount of stuff, they probably don't really know anything very deeply. But with this new generation, I'm not so sure. I don't know. They work a great deal, and they seem to put a lot of thought into their opening repertoire.
Yeah, and also thanks to now all the new technologies and everything, it is much more easier to pick up openings. And especially when you are backed by Rustam Kasimjanov, who can guide you and give you good directions. That's fantastic.
Yeah, and this is a kind of an old main line which became less popular because of what I call the Chinese Petrov, whichever move order you want, like all these systems with the bishop on f5, like bishop f5, bishop b7, and then black eventually goes knight d6 and goes for those types of positions. But this is the old main line, and knight bd2 is somewhat shockingly one of the main responses against it these days, because the old stuff. Hang on a second, what's going on there? Hello, bishop h7. It doesn't work. Yeah. It doesn't work because you have f5, and the queen actually cannot stay connected to the knight on g5.
Yeah, queen h4, rook h8 wins the game.
So this line, it looks very, very dry, but you can actually pretend to be better here. But I thought the fashionable attempt to play this was to play like h3 and then g3, king g2, queen c2, and stuff like this, right?
Yes, it was very interesting, because when I worked with Vladimir Kramnik for the 2008 World Championship match in Bonn, then when we looked through the Petrov, we discovered this line, and it was like a shocking, impact on us that what is this, that suddenly even against the Petrov you can play like this. Yeah, imagine in 2008, this knight bd2 and then h3, g3 wasn't the so-called the main concern, but it was tiny bit annoying. I remember we were getting some headache with Vladimir.
Yeah. I really don't like what MVL is doing here. I don't think he's going to be in any kind of trouble, but I think, it is 4 games on the bounce that he lost to Noribek. It's difficult to imagine this not, impacting him in some way.
Yeah, and also the previous game, I think, hurt quite a bit, because the opening looked fine, and then just he got careless. He did not know where to put the pieces and just got heavily punished by Nodiabek. And here he just mixed up, because the whole soul of the position is not to trade the pieces. You needed pieces so that black is not able to confidently get out with his pieces. Now the queen got a lovely square on d6. The rook could come to e8. The white lost the whole soul of the position.
Yeah, it seems like g4 knight h4 is an indication that MVL perhaps wants to do, attempt some kind of a pawn march on the king side. But there are no targets on the king side to attack. And if you continue pushing without like looking back at all, you will probably lose control over the e-file, and then you will probably regret your pretend activity. Knight d8.
It's so difficult to imagine. Yeah, knight d8. Okay, the knight is heading to f4. You indicated that white will anyway push probably the pawn to f4 at some point. So that's not the biggest issue, but where is this attack going? It goes nowhere. That's the big problem.
Yeah. The knight on d8 is... I was going to say not doing very much, but actually, like, if we take, we go rook e4 here, and then we start trying to get the knight to e6.
Yeah, you might even have to play f5 to stop knight e6, but that comes at a cost.
Yeah, and takes already happened. I assume rook e4 will happen because it's by far the most natural move in the position. And now MVL needs to figure out what he wants, because yeah, he probably wants knight f5 and then maybe knight g3 to get rid of this rook on e4 as early as possible, because you really don't want to, you know, deal with the problems which could arise if it survives on that square. Is there a way for black to stop that from happening? Like, can we play maybe queen f6?
Yeah, queen f6 looked like the natural move. And
now
the most ambitious one.
Yeah, we can take, because this fork doesn't win anything. This is a check. So if I go rook a e1, the idea would be to play rook e8, I assume. Although, is this any good?
I mean, 97.
No, 97. 97. Yeah, I've done it 97. So rook e8.
Then you kind of have to take. Yeah, take.
Yeah, I was worried I will blunder some queen b5, but I don't see any way to make that move do anything, basically.
Yeah, because knight on d8 protects the b7 pawn, queen for f6 defends the knight on d8. It's quite a nice setup.
Yeah, and we still have control over the e8 square, so it doesn't really create any... Rook f3, rook f8 played. And queen e6, by the way, was a choice. And this is another way to stop knight g3 from happening, because knight g3 just drops this knight immediately. So rook f3, rook f8. I mean, the drawback of this move, of course, is that the knight on d8 now has no immediate prospects. But I guess we just go rook e3 here and we equalize, right? We don't really care.
Yeah, we just trade everything. So he's first of all, okay, knight e4 is not even a threat at the moment, but okay, anyway, we will have to react at some point.
Hang on, this is a good point, but yeah, the problem is, let's say we play queen f... no, queen f6 actually makes it into a threat, right? Because yes. I can do this, and suddenly f3 doesn't work. Yeah, I think we probably play rook e3. I think Norebek, you know, when you're sort of leading 4-0, you maybe start thinking, you know, how about I win every single game? But he clearly won't mind just a reasonably safe draw with black today.
Yeah, and I believe that he should also erase from his mind this that he's leading 4-0. It's a tricky thought, because it only requires for Maxim to win one game and he's back in the match.
Yeah, queen d7 chosen.
A bit strange.
A bit surprising, because yeah, I don't know how we're supposed to profit from having it on e4 for a while. I don't know, let's go rook af1, for instance, and just continue playing. You can't play knight e6, because then I will take twice. You don't really want, like, b6, c5 is way too slow, I don't believe in it. You don't really have any, like, intrusion squares. And Vil goes even f4, f5 here, which is understandable, because you are denying squares to this knight. I guess it will now get deployed this way, because then it can go towards the e4 square. I think f7 is actually a very good square for that knight. Currently, it's a blunder, though, because it allows queen c4 check.
Wow, okay, that's the trick.
Yeah, and white once again escapes the fork and remains the exchange up. So we have to make a good move here.
Okay, but then f5 was a clever move. Yeah, first of all, it it sets up this trap, yeah, because it's so tempting to think about f6, but it does not work. And maybe white will get the option of going f6 himself.
Exactly. You would maybe like to now to play rook 4 e7, but that very much allows f6. And this is, as you can see from the bar, screaming at us. It's not good. He goes rook e1 check, takes, king f2, and the rook goes all the way back to e8. Feels like, you know, he got a little bit outplayed over the course of the last few moves, Nordebek. I think he probably could have equalized cleaner.
Yeah, I mean, somehow just rook e3, trade the rooks and the queens looked like a very natural way. And I also believe that Maxim needs some confident boost, yeah, if not necessarily that he wins this game, but I mean, to feel that I can outplay Nordebek, yeah, because as you said, yeah, when you are behind 0-4, or you think like this, that, oh my God, yeah, my opponent is always beating me, then you want to get some feeling that, okay, now things are turning in my favor and now I might be coming back.
Yeah, and one thing when we were discussing earlier, when we were talking about the stylistic differences between MVL and Nordebek, and I gave that speech about MVL being a very, very, you know, sharp tactical player. It's still true, but I can personally attest to how strong he is in quiet technical positions. I've lost a bunch of slightly worse openings to MVL over the years. So he definitely knows how to do those things as well. And I wouldn't put it past him to be a very serious danger in a position like this. F6 was a committal choice because once again, it revives this knight, but he's doing this in a very concrete manner, I guess, trying to achieve something immediately. I was wondering if you could just actually start with knight e6 anyway, but Nordebek goes queen f8, which is understandable. Getting rid of this queen on h6 does seem logical.
Yeah, actually, Maxim is like one of the only players who is very principled, that he's ready to enter the Marshall, yeah, and plays this d3 and then plays some endgame. And also he's willing to enter the Berlin endgame, yeah, which also requires very special kind of skills and belief that you can put pressure. So yeah, he has this feeling that he can be very dangerous in endgames as well if he knows, he believes in the position. Queen g5 played. No,
yeah, queen g5 because I thought the idea was queen f4, but then I realized knight e6 just works very nicely. So queen g5, I guess, is more logical. The big question is, do we have to care that d5 is hanging? Because we do have this slightly ambitious try to create counterplay.
But there is knight e4 maybe.
Yeah, that was my worry as well. Knight e4, knight f4, and maybe... yeah, he's got knight
does not
e6,
agree. Yeah, bar does not agree, and it's on the board.
Very interesting. I'm assuming queen h6 because, like, you can maybe include c7, c6, but why are we forcing queen d7? Doesn't make much sense to me.
Yeah, queen h6, very tempting, and then the big question: how do we react with white? But hang on, can we play rook e3 after queen h6? Rook e3 might be strong.
Check.
Then I have queen f3.
I have queen f3, yeah.
Yes.
I was about to, I was very proud of myself, but you don't want me to be proud of myself.
No. I know how dangerous you are. No. Never. No. Yes.
Yeah, queen f3 is good, yeah. Rook e3.
And basically we are also setting up for rook takes e6, yeah? Queen d7.
This is very good, yeah.
Wow, this is actually now Maxim's moment, and he has 10 minutes on the clock. I believe he will find rook e3 pretty quickly. I mean, this is his style. And we might be getting a match, a serious match.
Yeah. 10 against 9 on the clock. They got there very, very quickly. It's move 30, and they both spent, barely 1/3 of their time, kind of.
Yeah, it's incredible. It shows also a lot of confidence in general. Yeah, I would be playing much more slower. That's for sure.
Yeah, rook e3 on the board. Yeah. And if we go c6, I guess you can probably play queen d7.
Well, we have to be careful, but yeah, maybe we can.
Yeah, the engine says it's playable, but not the best. Yes, so because if you play queen f3 now, I will take on h3, and I will feel that maybe this is an improvement.
Yeah.
Queen e5, but once again, I don't see a refutation of queen takes h3.
Well, then maybe some knight f5. I mean, queen e5, queen h3, knight f5. No checks.
Whoa. Yeah, queen h1 strictly only move.
Yeah, and okay, now already we are.
And now it looks, now it looks like it's winning. So for white somehow, I don't exactly know how, but it looks winning. Maybe even knight d6, knight takes f7 or something, because this really generates no threats.
Yes.
We can actually spend time on knight d6 and maybe knight f7. Yeah.
No, I wanted actually 97 check just to cut you. Also not right. Huh.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, because we are apparently winning here, but we can't figure out why.
Knight g7 wins. Knight g7 wins.
Whoa.
No.
No.
this is brilliant. Yeah.
No.
Queen h4 check maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, all of this. Yeah, queen d7, queen f4 check happened, and we can play king e2 if we want. It doesn't lose material immediately, but we have other options because the rook on e8 is hanging, right? We can go even king g2 if we want.
King g2, yeah, also possible.
And I guess black just goes rook f8. Hang on, rook f8, rook e6. Yeah, we lost.
Yes.
So king f8 maybe?
King f8. And then the f6 pawn is hanging. That's the problem.
And the rook is hanging also. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Maybe Maxim will declare why. I mean, he had 10 minutes. He did spend something like a minute for rook e3, but it's such a complicated play. He should have spent more time before going queen d7.
Yeah, that seemed like a spot where there was really no reason for him to be so quick. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, now it's too late. Yeah, where do you run? Yeah, because this king f8, maybe he just missed the move king f8.
Maybe, yeah. And as for that line, I had a feeling like the move that wins here actually came to my mind and I didn't believe myself.
Really, yeah?
Yeah, I just didn't even want to suggest it. I thought maybe queen g3 because we're stopping gf because we're getting to the g7 square. But I just couldn't understand what the threat is. Apart from rook, yeah, but the point, yeah, and also if the queen goes somewhere here, we just win with knight h6 and queen d6.
Okay.
So yeah, this is just completely winning apparently. So after queen e5, you can't even take on h3, and then we stabilize with king g2. So yeah, this is on the board. King e2, king f8. Apparently, still better for. Yeah, I will.
Knight e4. Knight e4. What a shaky position. Yeah, knight e4, queen h2 check. How do you navigate here?
Yeah, this may have been, I don't know about missed, but maybe underestimated. Queen h2 check. We run probably back, right? We don't need to go to c4. It feels a bit excessive.
Well,
so
my very
king d1, yeah.
Just king d1, yeah.
And
why
then king
to
d2 and then rook e2, or maybe even rook e1. I don't know.
And if you play knight f4, do you have a chance to go knight d6 or?
Or knight g5 or.
Yeah.
I think we actually get to b3, right?
Yeah.
There's no way, there are no checks which stop us from getting to b3.
Yeah, but if the knight can't move, then it's very good for white.
Yeah, king d1 seems to be very strong.
So maybe Maxim knew after all what he's doing. Yeah, it's such a complex position that it's very difficult to understand what's going on, but he has foreseen this knight e4.
And just to, slightly annoy you, and, I'm doing this sort of to inform our viewers, but I am also kind of annoyed by this. This was much stronger.
Wow.
But I don't think it's possible to make a move like this, honestly. When king f8 exists, I don't think you even look at queen b8. But apparently queen b8 was actually preserving equality.
Because you are threatening with rook d8, rook e8, just kicking the queen away.
Yeah, kicking the queen towards like b4 squares, and then you will have a massive counterplay.
Yeah.
And also if knight e4, I guess now we can go like knight f4, knight d5 or something. Oh, no, actually, we go rook g8. And then we go knight f4, knight d5, and we fork everything.
And now king d1. Yeah, now Maxim is not missing his chance.
Yeah, and this is becoming very interesting then, because Maxim probably actually gets on the board with this game, because there's just no immediate way no obvious way at least to stop knight d6 from happening. You can take on b2, but I guess this still wins because there is no perpetual. Like this, I guess. Right? This looks okay, yeah?
Yeah, somehow I also don't believe, I don't see the perpetual check, and it shouldn't be a perpetual check.
Yeah, we have a little bit too much in front of our king, and the rook actually does a good job. And a very important note here is that basically we never have to worry about discovered checks along the e-file because the rook on e8 is hanging. Otherwise, something like this would have been a problem. But it just isn't.
Yeah, and now it's a very interesting moment, because if Maxim bounces back, then he just does in time. There will be 2 more games. The match is on, no pressure, and he gets this feeling that, all right, that's the way. Yeah, I know that during these matches, these psychological situations are so important. When you suddenly feel this, that wow, I can, or if you feel like I can't. Yeah, this is just such a big difference.
Yeah, well, considering how poorly it has been going for him until this game, it's a massive moment for him to finally win a game of chess against Noribek, because gives him a lot more belief.
Yes, and this brings me back to that moment when Noribek had the chance to just trade pieces with rook e3 and then systematically make a draw and simply signal to your opponent that, you have no chance beating me. Yeah, this is kind of a match situation.
Just go for this.
Yeah.
Put it back on e8. Yes, you're slightly passive. Yes, maybe you will have to be a little bit careful for the next 5 moves, but generally speaking, you just go like g6, f6, knight f7, knight d6. Should not even really be a problem at all, I think.
Yeah, especially when you are leading the match so comfortably. I mean, playing such an endgame is maybe not so pleasant, but also for Maxim, it's very unpleasant that he needs to win at all costs such position. Yeah, now it's over basically.
Yeah, Noribek probably is realizing that, because he's been thinking for quite some time now and not really finding the solution, which is, probably very simply because there is no solution. Yeah, a bit so. Go on.
I mean, it's clear that his play is connected with the knight move, yeah? But if you can't play the knight f4 move, then it's just so bad for black.
Yeah. Yeah, if he could somehow include the knight in the game. That would be a massive improvement, but f7 is just way too weak, and the king actually on d1 is pretty safe. It's very difficult to create mating threats against that king, or even perpetual threats.
Yeah, and all these checks like queen h1 only help white. The line with queen takes b2 feels also too slow because, okay, you are just not giving enough checks. Yesterday we have seen Anish with his queen giving millions of checks against Yuan, but that was kind of logical, yeah, because the white king could not really hide. But here we feel like it will always have the chance to go to the king side or to the queen side, depending from the checks.
Yeah. Yeah, he's just looking for a way to continue somehow, to just find a way not to lose immediately and to continue posing problems. But he's probably struggling even with that, because I just don't know. Like, if you play rook d8, you lose to queen e7 and knight g5 pretty much immediately. The position collapses. White kind of gets to your king very, very quickly. And yeah, queen f4 loses to knight d6 straight away. Also, you resign. So yeah, it's just, I'm not sure how you even continue playing from here. And as a kind of an additional bit of storyline, knight d8. I mean, knight g5 is probably still mate, right? Knight d6 is probably still mate. Hang on, knight d6? No, knight d6 actually doesn't win. Why doesn't it win?
Because queen g1 check.
Ah, and queen takes e3. Yeah, of course.
Yes. Yeah. What a trick.
Yeah.
What a trick. So maybe you should just play a move like.
Oh, sorry. So queen takes. Yeah, I've forgotten. Yeah.
I mean, rook e2. Yeah, you can play rook e2. Simply just get that rook protected. Queen takes h3 played. So insisting on some queen f1 check.
And then queen e8 simply, and the game disappeared because I guess MVL played queen e8. Yeah.
Yeah.
So 1-1, and there will be a bit of a break. I suppose, because the game hasn't started immediately. And they really should be giving them a little bit of a break after game 2. And we have a very exciting now best of 2 in progress, now that MVL has finally managed to break the curse and win a game.
Yeah, it changes everything. Yeah, he's back in the game. He gets the confidence. Now the break comes exactly at the right moment for him. Abdusatulov will be kicking himself off. Losing this game so easily because, in fact, he had absolutely no opening problems.
Yeah. And there was a question in chat, which I should probably answer, because I think the person who asked it is not doing themselves justice. Why can't you just play queen c7 here and play a bad endgame, but still an endgame which you can fight in? I think the reason is not just this endgame, but that knight c5 wins. Otherwise, like, if the best white had here was this, it's still very bad for black, but you can maybe fight a little bit with knight d5, rook e6. Maybe you can create counterplay. But I think knight c5 just wins on the spot, because it forces you to take, as far as I can tell. And then I can go back to c5 and either win the pawn on b7, or you can play some endgame like this, which is not going to be very fun. So yeah, 1-1 and a bit of a break. I guess we'll also take a moment to reset, and we'll be back with continued action in this winners final. And perhaps we'll also be keeping a bit of an eye on Division 1, but that actually hasn't started yet for some reason. So probably Division 2 will be our main focus here.
Time to take control of your journey towards chess mastery. Magnus Carlsen introduces Chessable, the definitive solution for studying chess. Move Trainer uses the science of spaced repetition to identify your strengths and eliminate your weaknesses. There's no need to set up a board, remember which page you're on, or keep track of all the moves you miss. Get started now and join our growing community of over 100,000 chess enthusiasts. Chessable. Take control of your journey towards chess mastery.
Everybody, my name is Jan Nepomniachtchi, former world chess champion.
Are starting a new course here for Chessable.
A very special Chessable course.
Master your chess with Judith Bolgar.
You know what? I learned a lot.
I am a top grandmaster from the Netherlands. The lines and the recommendations that I give are well suited for players of all levels, so I really explain a lot of concepts, but also a lot of basic things. Now it's your move, don't waste any time, hit that buy button.
It doesn't look like much, but neither would a Sicilian defense to the untrained eye. This is a performance enhancer. You don't see it? How about now? Manage your air quality, sharpen your performance, change the game with air.
Hello and welcome back. We're a bit late, and that's entirely my fault. But it's the same opening. After all the talk of Nodibek's wide opening repertoire, he keeps on insisting on this particular line of the Grunfeld. And in this game, MVL comes up with a third version of what to do against it. He played b5 once, he played knight b7 once, and in this game he goes rook e8, knight a3, queen d6. An interesting option in this position, because normally you wouldn't really want this change of structure, but with the rook on e8, it definitely makes sense. Queen e1. In every single one of these games, Nodibek goes queen e1 at some point, and queen d8 back. What do we think about this? This is very peculiar.
Yeah, but it's also very interesting, and also it was interesting Nodibek's reaction, yeah, that he almost instantly went back with the queen to b4, so he had a lot of respect for queen d8, and after queen d6 blitzed out the move bishop d2.
Yeah, and what we have on the board is now takes, bishop e6, rook ac1, and MVL has just played knight f6 e4. And seems okay for black, I would assume. I'm not altogether sure, but this is a misplaced piece. It's not really impressing me very much, and I'm not quite certain how to make progress here with white.
I mean, what do you think? Do we worry about some c5, or it's not yet an issue?
Didn't really occur to me, but now that you ask me, maybe, yeah.
Because Nodibek opted for knight e5, yeah, closing down this diagonal.
And also introducing the idea of bishop takes e4 in some positions, so maybe it makes c5 harder to organize. Knight a6, and the bishop goes all the way back to e1. How do we deal with this with black?
I think let's just go back for 1 second to the position.
Sure.
If instead of knight a6, black would play c5, then probably bishop takes e4 would be very strong.
C takes b4, c
and
takes
then
d5.
c takes d5. But no, computer does not agree.
Computer agrees with your assessment, but it's probably some other move order, maybe this move order, yeah?
This move order.
This
and then
move
bishop
order.
takes d5.
Well, at least we can go bishop takes e4,
Yes.
but maybe even something stronger. Hello,
Okay, I
boy,
just felt since I mentioned c5, we had to cover it, but now we can move on.
Yeah, and knight d6 played after bishop e1, which is what I expected. I thought this was the best option, continuing to create pressure against opponent c4. I'm guessing black already perhaps is threatening bishop takes e5 here, and then knight takes e4. And Nodibek goes cd5 and even bishop d5 cd, which is a curious endgame, right? Because I can find ways to describe this position which would, suggest I think white is better. I think I could also describe it in a way that would be like nice for black in some way.
Yeah, knight d7 played. It was also the move that attracted my attention, like as the reasoning why Nodibek was attracted to go for this position. The knight is heading to b6, then suddenly targeting the two weaknesses on d5 and on a4. It's kind of a tempting jump.
Yeah, I need to free up my hands a little bit here because I can't really operate the mouse in this particular circumstance.
Yes,
Down,
I
boy.
see.
Down. Yeah, knight b6 is a bit of a problem. How do we not lose material here?
Yeah, that's a big question. I mean, okay, you can somehow try to play rook c8, and then the d4 pawn is also vulnerable, rook a c8. But still, it feels bad.
Yeah, I'm wondering if I can even maybe play some quiet move like e3.
Yeah.
Because weirdly, knight b6 continues being a very annoying threat.
Yeah, but then how do we react after knight d7?
Yeah, rook c8 played. Yeah, I think MVL probably missed that. I get the feeling that he did not expect this move to be as strong as it is.
And
So
the move E3. Yeah.
apart from this move E3, what else do we have? We can play. Like, first of all, let's show on the board that thing that you were referring to.
Yeah.
You would like to play knight b6, but this drops the pawn on d4, and even b2 is now hanging. This is not great at all. We should not be doing this with white. So our options are, is knight c5 ever an option? I don't think so. Feels...
Yeah, well, there
Defense.
was another argument, like just to take on c8, because after rook takes c8, knight b6, you don't have a good square.
That's a very good point, actually.
But you
Because
can
all of the good squares are covered, yeah?
Yeah, but you can capture with the knight on c8, and then I might not have the option of going knight b6 anymore. I'm not sure if I want to do this.
Yeah, and we want to play rook d8 as black. But maybe we can find a good move here. Like, we want, of course, to put the rook on... I guess maybe we just go e3, right?
Yeah, e3 or bishop a5 also kind of interesting.
No, but I can do this. I think I can do this.
Yes. This is super smart.
And bishop a5 remains a massive, massive problem next move. And this endgame is probably borderline lost because of how passive everything is, and like knight b5 or some move here.
Yeah, I mean, you will lose the queen side.
This is horrible. Yeah, it doesn't look horrible yet, but it will be very, very poor. Even just simply knight c3 here, I guess, just wins the a4 pawn. a3, ba, and put it on a4, put the knight back on b5.
Yeah, if you want to be very sadistic, you can even play a3 and then knight c3.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's much stronger, actually. Yeah. Because black is completely helpless. King g7 is probably your best move.
You can even play bishop a5 first and then knight. I mean, it just to illustrate how hopeless this position can be.
Yeah, and this is what he chooses. Yeah, takes e3 on the board. Very clearly with the intention of rook d8, rook c1. Otherwise, it doesn't make much sense. If you have to leave the d7 square and allow knight b6, or... Well, knight b6, I blundered bishop a5, but let's make some kind of a normal move.
Knight d6.
Knight d6, yeah. Suddenly, black is very much in the game.
Yeah, but you very nicely spotted this rook d8, rook c1. It's such a lovely move.
Yeah. No, MVL is in massive trouble. Because, I mean, rook d8 doesn't really do anything because of rook c1, but you don't have a better move either. You can't really touch this piece because knight b6 will just, once again, attack all of your weaknesses. Knight c7 allows rook c1 and just loses more time and does nothing. b6 and b5 are not moves. e6 is not a move. Like, your pieces are just not going to be able to go anywhere. Well, very impressive, yes. I want to say, having lost a kind of an unnecessary game in game 2. The ability of Norbek is showing here to just refocus and continue playing very, very well is impressing me greatly.
Yeah, and also it's kind of very interesting that he sticks to the g3 Grünfeld because he probably also feels like this is a very good anti-MVS strategy. Yeah, there are no dynamic possibilities, and this type of play is not what Maxim really enjoys.
Yeah.
What to do now? I don't see a move. I mean, rook
d8
played.
I'm struggling to suggest any yellow. Rook c1 we will blitz out. There's no way the knight goes anywhere. Yep, there it is. Yeah, MVL has to go for this. I don't think there's anything particularly better, but it's just horrible. And I like your suggestion very much. Like, we go knight b5, we also go bishop a5. And then this entire setup is completely stalemated.
And
like
also
nothing.
that a3. Also a3, yeah, just... And nothing moves.
Yeah, and then we can maybe even spend time bringing this king to d3, because nothing moves and nothing will actually sort of ever move in this setup for black. This is bad. This is very, very bad for MVL.
Yeah, how to put up any resistance. I mean, basically, you need to play king g7. You have to unpin. But...
Oh, if f6, okay, yeah, F6. That sort of makes sense, because you do want to play king f7, and you probably want to play e5, just to pretend you have counterplay. It's not really much of much of a source of counterplay, but at least you are creating some tension in the center. A3 played, king f7 played. Yeah, I mean, you can include bishop a5 or not. It doesn't really matter a great deal. And Nodibek says, I don't need to. I can just pick up the pawn on a4. If MVL plays rook c7 here, do we trade rooks or do we play rook a8?
Well, it's a matter of choice. I would have assumed I just take and win this position, but...
Yeah. I would be slightly concerned that, you know, the black bishop is slightly better in terms of opening structure. Like we go h5, like e6 first, then we go h5. And strictly speaking, this structure with this bishop is not that great. But of course, we do have a very healthy outside passer if we can organize some kind of progress on the queen side.
Yeah, should be winnable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I will note also in terms of just what's going on today, and we're not going to be paying too much attention to that, but as far as I could figure out from their YouTube channel, because this is a tournament which is very difficult to follow and to figure out the results of, I think Noribek is also playing in Berlin later today.
Wow.
I think he is still in that tournament because he's been winning. As far as I can tell, he is playing against Morali Kartikeyan, and Vidit is playing against Parham Maksudlu. He's in a lower bracket. Satirius tells us he actually lost to Gukesh last night, so he is not winning every single game, but he's still in the tournament because he only lost one, and he is playing against Morali Kartikeyan, and he chooses rook a8, by the way. And I think this means that after e6, which I assume is the automatic move here, he is probably going to spend time just bringing the king over to d3, because there is no way black can... you have rook c4 though, but rook c4, rook a7. I think we can actually just get the king to d3 and then take on a4 if we want.
Yeah, that would be... I mean, if it's possible, that would be just awesome. Yeah, king f1 played. Black is hopeless, yeah, because after rook c4, rook a7 wins, and you just can't move, and the knight on a6 is stuck. And that
this is just such a horrible piece. Yeah, such a horrible piece.
Why it was probably very important also to not to trade the rooks, yeah, because now the knight is then completely doomed.
And eventually we pick up on a4, we return this knight to c3, and we start making progress on the queen side. And in the meantime, it's just so difficult to... he just takes on a4 now. Interesting. Doesn't really want to bring the king any closer. I guess he wanted to make sure rook c1 doesn't win a tempo. And that's his only concern, because rook, let's say c2, rook a7, the rook just has to go back. Rook c4 played. I assume the knight just goes back. I'm not sure what rook c4 is even trying to achieve.
Yeah, knight c7 and now rook b8, yeah?
Yeah, but rook b8, and I guess he wants to go e5. I think he realizes his position is completely lost, so he is willing to, gamble. But this is not a particularly impressive gamble. Like, we just take on b7. There's nothing going on. Yeah, he just resigns after rook b8. Game is over, and game 4 has begun.
Wow,
this was fast.
And it will be another Petrov, or will Maxim play bishop c4? No, it's another Petrov.
Another Petrov, yeah. And in a proper must-win game, if he goes for knight bd2 again, it's going to be an unusual choice. But I don't like, you're kind of supposed to gamble here, but what is the gamble against the Petrov?
Yeah, that do you go for this 5-move knight c3 like Kramnik has done against UNG? That we covered. I mean, it leads to some more complex play, but on the other hand, maybe your opponent is perfectly prepared. It's that's what happens with critical lines.
And MVL thinking here is not maybe the best sign. Yeah, knight c3. This is what I expected. And knight c6, I think, is a very clear indication that Noribek is not really too interested in repeating what Yuan Yi was doing against Kramnik all the time. And he's just going to play some system with queen d7 and castles long. Because I think if you want a castle short, you generally don't start with... Well, maybe I will be proven wrong. We'll see.
He plays the Ivanchuk system with bishop f5. Okay, I know why I call it Ivanchuk system, because Vasily did it against me in Skopje 2015. And after that game, I realized that this is a very smart move, even that not really many people play it, but it's a smart system.
And the difference between bishop f5 and bishop b6 is that we are sort of preemptively not allowing knight g5 or...
Well, and also sometimes black castle short, depending what white is there.
Okay.
There you go.
I mean, for us, it's very nice because the types of positions you get if black castle's long are a lot less simply a lot less fun to commentate on, because very often what I was sort of preparing for morally was some kind of a game which could go, I will just give the sort of the bare bones of it. Of course, you can fine tune this, but some kind of a position like this, which white wins every now and again, like 1 out of, I don't know, 5 games maybe you do win this with white, but it's not very much fun to look at compared to some of these positions with the opposite side castlings, which could become very, very sharp. Hello, Doggo.
Yeah, well, actually, when Vasily did it against me, I wasn't exactly sure what to expect, what is his idea, and then he was blitzing like rook a8, bishop d8, all these moves kind of were blitzed out by him, and only afterwards I realized that, okay, so he's actually very smart. He was, because I thought like it will be some clash, I'm gonna push on the king side, he will try to get counterplay on the queen side, but he was actually combining it with some very clever strategical play, covering the e4 square so that I can't really advance with h3 g4 so easily because of bishop e4.
Yeah, that's, I think, a major point here, is that it looks like you're actually giving white a very clear target for h3 g4, but if you imagine rook a8 played, let's say h3, you play some move here. I don't know, bishop f6.
No, bishop d8. Bishop d8 is
bishop
the
d8,
spirit.
Yeah. And then with white, you sort of realize that g4 just plays very much into black's setup, because the bishop on e4 is a very strong piece. Boya, what's up?
Yeah, missing the Petrov. Yeah.
h3 played. Yeah, we'll see what Noribek plays here. I do like your bishop d8 more than I like bishop f6, I think, because in case white actually manages to start pushing, there is no reason to put an additional piece in front of these pawns so that white gets more tempi. He just goes bishop e4 preemptively.
And rook he1, but yeah, now also black has nothing to worry. Now bishop goes to f6 because there are no more g4s. But I mean, I don't remember how I played with white, but I do remember that Vasily still played rook a8 and bishop d8 instantly, and I already burned like 1 hour on my clock, and I did not anticipate any of these moves, yeah? So it was, it had a huge impact.
Yep. So how do we progress from here? Because weirdly, it seems like we're a little bit stuck with no immediate, like, I'm wondering if we can still gamble with knight g5, because yes, the pawn on g2 is hanging, but considering it's a must-win game, maybe we just gambit it away and, I don't know, we play rook g1 and we pretend.
Yeah, but on the other hand, if it will bring us nothing, then we just throw away our chances too easily. I think it's a very difficult decision. Very difficult. I mean, okay, now also, what are the threats? Yeah, black can just return bishop e4, maybe.
Yeah, if white does nothing, what would be your next move with black? Do we want to play queen f5?
Queen f5 or rook e7, rook f8, just systematically. Also, moves like a6 always very useful in this type of lines. But really the big question what you asked, that, yeah, what is white really doing? Because white is kind of stuck. White also played the move h3, so-called pretending that he wants to go g4, but finally the rook he1 was played. Nothing really works together, because if the rook would be, for example, on g1, I would suggest that knight h2, knight g4 is maybe some kind of a plan against this bishop on f6. Also, then maybe you could kick this bishop away with f3 and g4, whatever. But with rook on e1 already, I'm now a little bit skeptical.
Yeah. And also, you really don't want to give black a tempo with knight e5. So the knight sort of has to stay on f3. I'm struggling to come up with a proactive idea for white here.
Actually, I'm always very happy to see younger generation players employing some idea that the great legendary players have produced, yeah, like Ivanchuk.
Yeah.
This
Bishop
is the Ivanchuk
d5
spirit.
finally chosen. This must be such a sad choice.
Yeah.
Like queen f5 even. Yeah, that's what immediately played by Nordbeck. Bishop b4, rook e4, followed by rook f8. Black is just completely untroubled.
And very solid.
Yeah.
Yeah, queen d3 played, yeah, trying to get knight d2, but the knight d2 will not do anything much.
I don't think we have to even worry about that, right? I think we can allow it.
No, but then bishop takes a7 happens, yeah? Takes, bishop a7 trick.
Oof. Yeah, okay, we probably should not be missing that.
I mean, Maxim is, of course, very smart and very tricky. He is looking for his chance.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so what's
chance.
the clean solution then?
Good question. Because the position looks solid, but we have this little tricky spot.
Mm-hmm. Because I thought maybe queen e6, but apart from the fact that knight d2 exists, we can also once again just take on a7. Yeah. Yeah. Now that you alerted me to this idea, I'm seeing it everywhere.
I told you that a6 is very useful in all these positions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's,
yeah.
Actually, I do remember that some motifs like this I was already thinking back then in the game against Ivanchuk. Or afterwards when I analyzed it, I mean, I definitely have it connected with that game in my mind. Okay, but then there is some intrigue.
Chad seems to be very critical of the decision to play bishop d5, but we couldn't really name anything that was much more promising. I think it's maybe a bit unfair.
Yeah, no, actually, especially because Maxim definitely has spotted this queen d3, that it's not so easy to get out of these tricks.
Yeah, and the fact that Nordbeck is thinking for this long, I think, is a very good indication that this is now a bit of a problem. I think maybe his
queen g6,
then queen b5 maybe becomes a bit of an issue. Yeah, like queen g6, I go like maybe g4, and if you drop the rook back, I can play queen.
No, I don't drop. I will play a6 immediately.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's fair. Yes. Knight d2, and now we go like rook e6.
Yes.
Yeah?
And we remain solid.
Yeah, maybe a queen g6, because if you start with queen b5, I think I can take on g2.
Yes.
And the problem is if you start this strange race, you lose it to rook takes e3. Otherwise, maybe it would have been a good kind of an all-in. You take the entire queen side, black takes the entire king side, and who knows who is faster. But unfortunately, it just drops a full piece. So I don't think this is play. I mean, knight d2 here. But then rook
rook e5. Rook e5 is possible, no?
Queen b7.
Rook b8.
Queen c7.
You can take on c7. Wow,
yeah, this is why I wanted to put it on e7.
Yes. Okay.
To play rook b8 here.
Yes.
And to have bishop takes c3 maybe even.
Yeah.
Although the engine hates it for some reason.
Rook g1.
Rook g1 maybe, yeah. Something very strange.
I mean, ignoring rook takes me to check. Yeah,
yeah. Well, curious that this is so tricky, yeah, because I'm pretty sure Nordbeck just thought I have solved every single problem. I have nothing really left to worry about. And now after queen d3, I think we're here for 5 minutes or close to 5 minutes, and he hasn't made a move yet. So he clearly understands that this is a game now.
Yeah, and queen g6 is a move that you don't really want to play. Yeah, it moves away from the critical squares on the queen side or in the center, but probably it's the only move, and it's a good move, but it's not easy.
Yeah, I'm really not seeing anything else that I like better, because bishop takes a7 is a legitimate threat. And also, like, even let's say something like this, like it gives white so much time with like f4 and g4 and knight e4. I don't know. Or perhaps we can play something like, I don't know. Bishop c1, rook f8 is not that bad. I don't know. Bishop g5. Rook f8, bishop, oops, sorry, rook f8. I can take on f6. But then rook takes e1 suddenly
e1,
works,
yeah.
yeah. Actually, rook e1 was playable on the previous move as well. What am I talking about? Why am I playing rook e8? Yeah, there's just no reason to play rook e8 at all. No, the bishop moves don't make much sense. Can we play a6 then?
Well, and if we play g4, then you put the queen where?
No, but I have...
sorry, pardon me, yes.
Yeah,
okay.
you have to prepare
Yes.
it. Yeah, you have to prepare it first.
That's the trick.
So this is why I was playing knight g2. But then after rook e5, you probably have to go for endgames. And the rook will be a bit misplaced, but not so much that we have to, you know, lose too much sleep about it.
Yeah, well, I was thinking about queen f5, rook f5, g4, rook e5, g5, if that makes some sense, but you can also sacrifice the exchange, I believe.
But even this, honestly.
You can go, yeah. You can
even this, and then now I can maybe even put it on f5, but even if I just do it, you know, in the most passive way possible. Yeah. The problem is these types of endgames are incredibly difficult to even push for white.
Yeah, black can even get better. Yeah, knight e7,
yeah, I can start
f5.
I can start digging this out, playing f6 exactly as you're describing. This is a very good square for a knight.
Yeah. No, he opted for h6. Wow, so he really thinks that. But this is strange.
This is unusual. Yeah, if I were to you know, if I'm choosing between h6 and a6, I think I'm choosing a6 every single time, but
But basically then he's indicating that after knight d2 rook e5, he just wanted to make sure that those f4, g4s, whatevers are more under control.
Yeah, stopping those pawns from even reaching the g5 square, perhaps. I guess what he's saying here is that it's awkward, and making any kind of a proactive move is weirdly a problem because, like, queen e6 doesn't work because of bishop a7. Rook f8 also loses the a7 pawn tactically. But now that he's made the luft, like let's say we make a pass, now I can go rook e8. Because in that position, the back rank is no longer a problem. I cannot take on a7 anymore. Because this is not mate. We have the h7 square.
Yeah, and also h6 has the benefit of not moving the queen yet, so that white can't move the g-pawn.
Yeah, clever choice.
Yeah, clever choice.
And of course, just to illustrate, this tactic doesn't work because rook e1. Oh, hang on. Engine says it's playable.
But okay, it's a very, I mean, rook e8, for example.
Yeah,
or
I don't believe in it.
Yeah.
I think it's almost impossible to go for this with white because your every instinct will be screaming at you that you cannot really give black a position like this with the rooks potentially getting to the back rank. Engine does seem to indicate this is fine. Not better for white, but fine. But it's so scary.
Yeah, you will never do this. But yeah, okay. Then it was a very well invested 5 minutes by Nodirbek. Yeah, he understood that there is no reason to worry because there are a lot of tricks, but only if he steps into them. Well, what to do then for white after h6? Because Maxim is in a Maxim situation, so he needs to keep some tension in the game. How does he do that?
Yeah, I mean, something to say in favor of bishop takes h6 here is that it sort of changes the game dramatically. It makes the game incredibly concrete. And also, if you look at this position again, this, let's say after bishop c1, I'm not sure rook e8 is the best move. Because there is this queen b5 idea, which annoys me a little bit, even though the engine appears to think it's a blunder. I don't know
queen
why.
b5, yeah, because I was thinking that I want knight e5 or rook e8. I mean, those two moves
yeah,
are...
this is why I put it on b5 to stop knight e5. Yeah.
Yes.
But in general, like if you can somehow imagine us playing a3, and then just starting to, you know, the Zerg rush on the king side, like g4, g5, h4, h5, g6. And Black is still, because we control the e1 square with the knight on f3, black is still some way away from actually doubling the rooks on the first. So it would have gotten quite sharp. But yeah, he goes rook e2, which is a very nothing move, really. Now we can go rook fe8, I assume. Rook d1, just go, I don't know, a6. a6 apparently is a blunder again, because I guess bishop somewhere is a threat now, yeah?
Yeah, probably.
So we have to move the queen to some square. I guess we go get just, I don't know, queen d7 or something. Queen d7, queen c8, somewhere.
I mean, this looks like a very healthy battle of position for black.
Yeah.
Rook fe8 played.
Yeah, rook e8 played. I assume rook d1 gets played because otherwise I don't understand the previous move at all.
But yeah, look, Maxim is not happy, of course, in a Maxim situation to get stuck with such a Petrovich rock-solid position. It's such a nightmare. Yeah, rook d1, just you move the queen.
Yeah, but then maybe we can go g4 and pretend. It actually, I mean, f5 is a good square. Objectively speaking, like I would very much like to keep it on f5. It's a good square. But bishop d2 or bishop c1 seems to be like a6 bishop, let's say d2, or creates this threat. d5 might be the only move, and now we can play, I don't know, g4 or maybe even c4.
But hang on, after a6, you can also take bishop takes h6.
Ah, yeah, that's of course the because rook e2, rook e2, and this is hanging with check. So we just win a full pawn on h6.
Yeah, so that's kind of a threat after rook d1, but
yeah, what is he thinking about? Like, what else can he even play in this position? Is he really debating knight d2 and playing those types of endgames? If the scores were level, maybe, but not in a must-win game, I wouldn't think.
Yeah, because after rook d1, if you are not blundering anything, then black has to react. Yeah, finally rook d1 on the board.
Yeah. I think we would like to play knight e5 here, but I'm very worried about some kind of a pin along the fifth rank, like queen b5, for instance. Is kind of annoying me, although the engine doesn't seem to worry about that.
But I thought that you can also maybe just take on e5. And then you take and take on a7 again.
And it escapes, yeah? You think?
It escapes, yeah. Because we have bishop b8.
Yeah, and once you start playing rook c5, it doesn't look great. Like even maybe rook e8, rook c8, actually.
Yes. Yeah, it's getting behind, yeah.
Okay. So bishop takes h6 is a threat. Knight e5 is not, maybe not really working tactically as well as we would like it to work. So we are left with...
You might have to move the queen, yeah, just as you said, but we also don't want to give g4 for white.
I mean, it doesn't really create a threat, honestly. Like, yes, you can play g4, but like, what's your... Why are we supposed to be afraid of this?
No, not at all, yeah, but...
g5 is not really a threat. h4 is just completely impossible because of all the pressure I have against this point. Just play a6.
a6, yeah.
Yeah, just make a move.
Yeah, I will have to play knight d2, I guess, yeah. Kick this rook away and what next, yeah?
At what next? Yeah, if you play f4, you give me all those bishop h4 ideas, which are going to be at least a little bit
I would
annoying.
like to regroup the knight f1, knight g3, but I'm already stepping into knight e5 as well.
Yeah, you have to stop knight e5. Yeah. If you give me knight e5, I think I'm instantly completely fine.
Yeah, maybe even better. Yeah. Yeah, so maybe it's always a difficult choice to retreat, but black can simply afford it because everything else is so well placed.
Yeah. And also just, like, even if you dislike it, if all of your other options are just not really working out tactically as well as you would have liked, I mean, what are you supposed to do?
Yeah, but one can feel the tension, yeah, that the players are playing much slower than they used to so far in the match. Queen g6 played finally.
Yeah, interesting choice because I guess he actually just wants to offer a queen trade here. I think he wants to play something like rook 4 e6 and or maybe knight e5 actually. Knight e5, knight e5. Yeah, this is what is going on. And just take with this rook and say, explain to me why you're supposed to be better here. I like this. This is a good choice.
Yeah.
Very good practical choice.
Yeah, when I look at this position, it comes to mind because I immediately feel that it's connected with Kasim Janov. Yeah, he used to be the big Petrov player, and we had one training session here in Szeged. We were very, very close friends, and in training games, whenever we played, he played the Petrov, and I didn't know what to do. And then the tension was building between each other. That okay, then why do we play training games if you always hit me the Petrov and I'm not capable of bringing up any idea? And then he said, okay, I'm gonna stop playing the Petrov against you now while I'm here in Szeged. That was very funny.
Yeah.
Queen c4.
Yeah, I mean, he has to.
Yeah, he has to.
The match situation just demands that he keeps as many pieces as possible on the board, but he's still not going to be better. As long as we don't blunder anything on the queen side. I wonder if bishop takes a7 is a threat. I don't think... I would like maybe to play c6, but then maybe you can take... It's kind of weird, right? I can take, and if you play b5, I have rook e5, queen f1, specifically queen f1, yeah, but it preserves my extra pawn. And this is why I guess Dodipek just goes c5, just to make sure we don't blunder anything on the queen side.
But yeah, here now we see that why this queen on g6 is a bit less solid than queen d7.
No, of course you would very much like in this position, if the queen is on d7, black is maybe starting to think maybe we can be a bit better, but it's just tactically, if you play f4, I guess rook e4 followed by the... Hang on, rook e4 apparently is a blunder of some sort. Weird. Why?
Wow.
Why? Ah!
Wow. Unbelievable. Let's just show it.
Yeah. I mean, I would not have found it if the bar wasn't screaming at me that I was blundering something, but...
Wow, beautiful. Chess is lovely.
Yeah, and in fact, even if you take on e2, like you still have this position. Queen takes e2 might be even stronger, but this is also very picturesque, yeah, with the queen on h7. Yeah.
Completely.
So hang on. So after f4, I guess we have to play queen e4, yeah? But we're completely fine if we play queen e4.
Yeah.
And then just play rook 5 e7.
Yeah, and the e5 is...
3 rook e... maybe rook e6 even, because I want to have squares after g5, like I want to have the d8 square. Another blunder? Yeah, I'm making a lot of mistakes apparently.
No, okay, I mean, okay, you are just illustrating things, yeah, but you are perfectly... black is perfectly fine there.
a4 played by MVL.
But
I don't like
it gives
this.
black time to play all kinds of things.
Yeah, like queen e4, queen c6 now or something. Yeah, I don't like this. I think it's a little bit too relaxed.
Okay, but he's also now low on the clock, yeah, less than 3 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, yeah, I've forgotten about the clock. And they're playing much slower in this game than they were playing in many of the previous games. In the meantime, just to update our viewers, in game 1 of the winners' grand final in Division 1, Hikaru beat Fabi with black from a... He was basically pawned down for the entire game, and then he found a very cute swindle in an OP in an endgame and won a pawn down endgame.
Wow. Yeah, Hikaru and swindles, yeah, that's very much his territory.
Interesting that he doesn't even go queen e4. And the engine hates it for some reason.
Yeah,
maybe f4 now is very strong somehow. I don't know. Because the engine really hates this.
Yeah, wow.
And I have to say, yeah, I really, really hate my queen on g6. And, you know, whenever my opponent gives me an option of putting it on a normal square, I'm just grabbing it with both hands here. Very surprised he hasn't played this. Bishop f4 chosen by MBL. Yeah, and this is the issue that, like, even this endgame. Once again, if the queen is on d7, we kind of shake hands, but the queen isn't on d7. And you will have to work not to lose it.
Well, if it's still possible to hold, yeah, you might just lose the queen side.
Yeah, this is very, very strange to me that the chance to play queen e4 was not taken instantly. Or even something like bishop h4, I don't know, just to get your queen some squares. Bishop h4, try to prepare queen e6, I don't know. Would have been my choice, I think, higher on the list than b6 at least.
Yeah, b6 a very unfortunate move. Yeah, bishop f4, and all right, suddenly in time scramble there is something to look forward to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and MVL is behind on the clock, but 2 minutes with increment is manageable. d5 chosen.
d5 played.
I guess queen b5 or queen a6. Yeah, queen b5. And now black has to start trading. All 4 trades will happen. I mean, all 2 trades. And once again, yeah, like now we have the e4 square, but this is very sharp because bishop b8, a6. He's sort of okay, yeah, because has bishop.
But okay, bishop a7, bishop d8, a5.
Bishop b7, bishop h4, maybe.
You can, yes.
And then it becomes a race.
Yeah, because I will have king c1. I have king c1 here.
And then eventually we will play b4. Yeah, I'm not sure this works out for black. I'm not at all sure this works
is
out.
Actually not happy about bishop a7. What's the problem?
I don't know. Yeah, it's confusing.
It looks so promising.
Yeah, and MVL it's unfortunate to only have a minute here because I'm pretty sure he feels that he has a winning chance here if he is very precise. But yeah, I don't see any other move. He plays bishop a7. Because if you allow black to play c4 and b5, you will never have any winning chances at all. Bishop d8 played by Noribek. Now you would like to play... Do you play immediate? I think we start with c4, right?
But then c4, can you play a5 or not?
King c1.
I mean,
g6, I guess, yeah.
f5.
Yeah, this is very confusing because strategically black is in a lot of trouble, but black does have this sort of extra pawn on the king side. So, yeah. My issue with a5 immediately is I think I can play b5, right? And take this guy. And I don't know if you will be fast enough to organize any kind of a passer.
Yeah, it will come down to tempo because also the g7 and a6 pawns are still vulnerable, and he goes for c4. Okay, this is interesting, but I'm worried of a5 from black.
Yeah, I think you're probably supposed to play a5 here because a4, a5 now is a massive, massive threat. The way things are, like I don't think starting a race here does anything for black. Like if you go for some kind of a position like this, I would be very worried. Although maybe you go a4 here, I don't know. a4, we might lose it, but we might be in time on the other side. This is very complicated. It's not really an endgame that it's much fun to play on 2 minutes.
But yeah, a5 played.
a5 and he goes c3 instantly. So he is going to try to do something right away.
But okay, then I can start with king f8 just to be super safe. That my king
no, but I think this is what he is planning against. Yeah, like I think he wants to go for this break.
Yes,
he wants to go. My issue is I am not 100% convinced this is winning. And then like king to c6, and I go g6 f5, and I mean white is still better, of course, with the outside.
But maybe you did not have to take on b. You could play king c2. With a bishop on c5.
Yeah, this is a good square. Yeah, this is a very good point.
Yeah, so king f8 is in fact the mistake. That's the trick.
Yeah, so we just go...
g6 then.
g6, yeah.
On the board, yeah.
g6.
Abdusatov very alert. And Maxim down to 20 seconds only. How do you play this endgame? You need to calculate.
Yeah, he goes before. Yeah, you just have to trust your instinct here. You just have to go for it. Does black? No, you don't ignore it, right? Ignoring it is not going to do you much good. Yeah, takes everything. MVL goes king c2, f5.
And f5, yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm just going to switch auto update on because they will be playing too quickly for us to try to analyze anything. GF, c5. BC, bishop takes c5. It feels like this probably should be a draw, but importantly, the h-pawn is the right color. h8 is the dark square. So you need to trade everything on the king side here to make a draw for black. Just trading these two for the f-pawn is not enough. And apparently, he's still doing okay, but bishop b4, yeah, you had to play bishop b4, I assume. Now bishop b6 forces bishop b1. And then maybe we can start coming in with the king. Like, I think the setup we want is bishop b1, we go king f7, a5, we put the bishop here. We're not in time to put the king on d5.
No, but you can just put the bishop on a7. Just
there
is no.
And Vial goes f3. Whoa, very committal choice. And yeah, now it feels like you probably, because I think if I just put the bishop on a7, but he wants to get the king to f1 and play bishop e1, bishop f2.
Yes,
that's the plan. We need to count tempi. I can't figure out it. I can't figure it out without really counting.
But I mean, it looks absolutely fine. The king is reaching d5.
No, but I still have bishop f1. I think it becomes a pawn ending. And then the question is, like, with the pawn on h3, you probably save that pawn ending, but it's not trivial. I think what it becomes is, like, let me just show some kind of a sample line, which is probably incorrect. Like, this is my point. You still have to calculate this pawn ending.
But you can always play bishop e3 here.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, exactly. You can. The king is in time. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is what he does. He just plants the bishop on e3 and goes king e6, king d5. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, that's it.
And then you just can't make any progress. Yeah, you can't shift those pieces. So I guess congratulations to Nodibek, because exactly. He is not going to lose this. Yeah.
This is the dream of all dreams.
Yeah. Even goes bishop e7.
Yeah, bishop e7. Okay.
And goes bishop e7. Very cute. Yeah, and they will actually play it out to the empty board. Very nicely done by Nodibek. Yeah, Nodibek with his 2 victories against MVL's Grunfeld, of all things, does prevail, and the winner of the upper bracket once again wins the whole thing. Very impressive by the young man.
Yeah, and qualifying to Division 1 for the next event.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
very
and also,
big congratulations.
Yeah, very importantly, he does give himself a ticket to Division 1 for the 3rd major, which is, of course, what you want. We've just finished 5 days of watching Division 2. It's a very, very strong tournament. Plenty of exciting games, plenty of exciting players. But Division 1 is where you want to be with the likes of Magnus and Hikaru and Fabi, who are now playing the winners final.
Yeah, and well, basically what we have seen from Nodibek throughout these 5 days, some incredible fighting chess. There were moments when he had to come back. He was winning on demand. He was, really an incredible force to reckon with also in Division 1. He is such a fighter. And beating Maxim Vachier-Lagrave in yesterday's small final and now in the grand finale as well, just sensational stuff.
Yeah, I'm very, very impressed by him. The 2 people I want to sort of single out in this field are him and Denis Lazavic, who in a field where basically every single player he was playing against is massively better known, massively higher rated. He was within 1 decision, pretty much, of qualifying for the winners final. Once he dropped into the losers bracket, it didn't go that well for him, but he was basically, he won on demand, I think, twice in that match against Nodibek. and then he had basically a winning position with black in a must draw game in an Armageddon against Abdusattorov, and somehow lost that game. Of course, MVL played really, really well, but we know MVL is a fantastic player, and Lazovic is a much less known player, and I was very, very impressed with him. Let's maybe take a brief look at what happened in game one and happening in game two in the winners final in Division 1, and then we should probably end the broadcast. Game one was this very classical Nimzo, in which I don't really like. This is the absolute main line, but then Hikaru did something interesting / strange. They got to a somewhat quiet position here by move 15, and Hikaru just gave up the pawn on c7 here, and didn't really even try to win it back.
Yeah,
And,
unbelievable.
yeah.
I mean, just take the knight on d6
Yeah.
and win this position. Finish.
Yeah, honestly, I kind of missed this particular point, but now exactly, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, how do you not take on d6 here? Just do this.
And you
Just
go
do
queen
this and-
b2, rook c2, rook
Yeah.
fc1, and just you win automatically.
Yeah, this is very odd, because that bishop on f4 is not that great, and it ended up being Fabi's downfall, because he played queen d3, and I mean, it's a long game. I'm not going to show the entire game, but what happened was all the rooks disappeared eventually. And when you look at the position like this, you can start seeing why you would be much better off, not really having to find a job for this bishop. And even here, like, how do you not play f3 here? He kept the bishop alive, and they continued shuffling. And even this position, you really aren't supposed to lose, frankly. But then, in his desire, very understandable desire to win this, here he played bishop g5 check, king e6, and he very confidently played queen d8. And suddenly, after queen d6 check, it becomes a race, because your queen side will start falling. And that race was eventually with a very, very nice shot, knight takes d4 here. It was actually won by Hikaru, because knight takes d4, apart from winning this pawn, it does a very important job of getting the knight to f3, which stops white from playing king g6 and h5. So Hikaru went 1-0 up. And the second game is a very, very sharp. I wanted to say this is an Italian, but it's not. It's actually a Rui Lopez. d3, b5, bishop c5, knight c3, castles. Are you supposed to castle this early here?
Well, I think it's possible with knight d5, h6. This is okay.
Yeah, but you are opening yourself up exactly to what happened in the game, right? All of these rook g1 ideas, which have been known for a while. This is not the most dangerous situation where you can play rook g1, but it's still kind of tricky. And Hikaru is very much going for it. Like, this is the current position. And yeah, it's a very, very sharp position where, like, queen h5 seems very attractive if it works. You can also choose sort of more restrained squares. You pretty much every single square. I wouldn't put it on c2, but pretty much any square on this diagonal looks interesting.
Yeah, queen f3 was also like a natural one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Engine disagrees, but I'm not entirely sure why. So yeah, this is going to be a lot of fun, but it really isn't, if we're honest with our audience, it really isn't our place to to commentate on this. There is a whole channel dedicated to showing you all the action in Division 1. I just wanted to update our viewers on what's going on. But for us, we want to thank everyone who's been with us for 5 days. You are all wonderful people, and it's much, much more fun to do this when people are watching and talking to us while we try to keep up with the action. For now, I think this channel is sending you all to the Oslo studio. Once again, congratulations to Nordibek Abdusattorov, whose smiling picture we should all get used to seeing on our screens, I think. we will be seeing a lot more of this smiling portrait in the years to come, because I'm pretty sure he will continue winning things. And Division 1 is still very much in progress. So if you're in the mood for more chess, there is definitely more chess on the chess.com channel.
Yeah, I would also like to thank everyone watching. Thank you very much, Peter, for joining us, joining me and everyone with this fantastic broadcast. I enjoyed every second. It was a fantastic Division 2 battle. And congratulations to Nodirbek. And we are rooting for him and we are wishing him all the best of luck in Division 1.
Absolutely. And just to mention one more little event that is starting soon-ish. Today was the opening ceremony in the drawing of lots, and I think I've heard that Jan Nepomniachtchi will be white in game 1. That game starts in 40-ish hours on Sunday.
Yeah, actually, do you know exactly when do they start?
I think it's 12 Moscow time, I was told. So probably 1 p.m. Central European. I'm not entirely sure how... no, not 1. What am I talking about? It's 11, right?
Yes.
11 Central European. And I wonder what time that is in Astana. Because it seems to me like that should probably be... okay, it's 3 hours. I thought it was 2 hours between Moscow and Astana time, but it's 3 hours. Because normally they start at 3. And I was a bit surprised because it looked like they were starting at 2. But I guess because of the daylight saving time, as Satiris is also telling us in chat, because of the 1 hour lost. Whoa! He blundered knight d4 or something, yeah? Because I can just see the engine screaming, this is not good. Which I assume means that knight d4 works. Maybe not, yeah, maybe not. Maybe there is something here, because he takes d4, bishop b4 check, but maybe we just continue playing, yeah? We just do this and play. Anyway,
okay,
I'm not going to...
I will play g6 and cut that knight on h4.
Yeah. I'm not
but it's already not our job, yeah. We leave it to...
It really isn't, yeah. It really isn't. And it's just that whenever you see this massive change in evaluation, it's very difficult to stop yourself from trying to figure out why. It's just instinct. But
of course.
Yeah. Also, always enjoyable to do this with Peter. I had a lot of fun in these 5 days. Division 1 not starting, but very much in progress. Go watch that. Thanks to all of you.
Yeah, thank you everyone. Bye-bye.
It's time to take control of your journey towards chess mastery. Magnus Carlsen introduces Chessable, the definitive solution for studying chess. Move Trainer uses the science of spaced repetition to identify your strengths and eliminate your weaknesses. There's no need to set up a board, remember which page you're on, or keep track of all the moves you miss. Get started now and join our growing community of over 100,000 chess enthusiasts. Chessable. Take control of your journey towards chess mastery.
Everybody, my name is Jan Nepomniachtchi, former world chess champion.
Are starting a new course here for Chessable.
A very special Chessable course.
Master your chess with Judith Polgar.
You know what? I learned a lot.
I am a top grandmaster from the Netherlands. The lines and the recommendations that I give are well suited for players of all levels. So I really explain a lot of concepts, but also a lot of basic things. Now it's your move, don't waste any time, hit that buy button.
doesn't look like much, but neither would a Sicilian defense to the untrained eye. This is a performance enhancer. You don't see it? How about now? Manage your air quality, sharpen your performance, change the game with Air Things.